So we've got what we call fiscal policy. We've got monetary policy. And over here, we have private debt. These are all a little different, but I want you to understand this is very important. Fiscal policy is when Congress spends money. Monetary policy is very different. Monetary policy is about managing interest rates. And it's about ensuring that we have full employment is one of their mandates at the Fed. Full employment. And price stability. And then this is what we take on when fiscal policy dries up. We take on private debt to fill that gap. Okay? We take on private debt when they stop spending. All right? So what austerity within this monetary environment is the government spends money. The deficit needs to grow. Deficit money, spend massive money into the economy to maintain full employment. However, in monetary policy, they believe something different. In monetary policy, they believe they need to have like at least 5% unemployed. To maintain price stability. So to them, as you're seeing right now, they will go ahead and raise interest rates. Started out at 0%, then 2%, then it just keeps on going, 10%, whatever they decide, until they achieve the desired level of unemployment. Because in theory, when you make credit more expensive, then people are willing to buy less. And so ultimately we take on private debt. Well, what happens? You and I, let's say we're approved for $10,000 total. Our ability is $10,000. The government has cut spending. The Fed has raised interest rates. People are getting laid off. You've already spent $9,900. So you've got $100 of credit available to you. That's not enough to do much of anything. Okay. So now all of a sudden you get laid off. This guy right here, his job right here was to ensure that there were enough laid off people, enough unemployment to satisfy their fake NAIRU and their fake Phillips curve and all these other fake models they use to kind of derive what a healthy economy looks like. Okay. But ultimately, what happens is this: the federal government cuts spending. The monetary policy raises interest rates. And I'm going to get to that in a second. By raising interest rates, that money goes to the wealthy. And there's some trickle-down sycophants that would say that's a good thing. But the reality is that this is a transference to the wealthy, and it's putting downward pressures on labor. Okay, the divide is growing. The wealth gap is growing. All this stuff is growing right here. And over here, now all of a sudden, you still got to pay your taxes. You've still got to pay for your house. You've still got to pay for all that. And so all of a sudden now your house goes into foreclosure and they take away your house. This right here represents what Clara Mattei would call the trinity of austerity. Now, you could fuck around with that. You can complain, you can whine, but I just showed you, okay, that ultimately what happens? They play games with the fiscal policy. They cut the spigot off. What do they do over here? They raise interest rates to try and create unemployment. It doesn't mean it creates unemployment. By the way, folks, just so you know, it doesn't mean that it creates unemployment. What it means is that industry takes the signals from the policy increase, from the rate increases, and says, oh, we're supposed to lay people off. And if you look out there, you're seeing lots and lots and lots and lots of layoffs. And now you over here, you're out of private credit, you're laid off. What are you willing to do? Well, this is the government saying, hey, we want to make a change. So now all of a sudden they're pushing people out of their old jobs and either finding new things for them to do or trying to generate a recession to create a new reset, if you will, a new kind of norm. And this is what I think you've seen with the inflationary pressures that you've seen right now, is they're trying to get us used to that level. And you notice gas prices still haven't come down. You notice a lot of those things, and there's a lot that goes into that. Supply and demand is certainly part of that, but there's an entire theory behind pricing. And if you take marketing and you understand the way that the 4 P's of marketing go, and you understand the way executives price things, you understand that they're looking for those signals as well. So when these guys signal they're raising interest rates, industry says, let's go ahead and lay some folks off. All right. Now, one other thing. When we raise taxes, that is literally money deletion. When you look at the taxes, okay, when you understand the taxes are draining reserves out, and you understand that they're deleted, they don't exist anymore, okay? When you understand that, you understand now that there's less money in circulation. What ends up happening is these are the basis for recessions. And so if you think about this, I'm going to draw this like so. Let's say this is government spending. And let's say hypothetically it goes negative right here. The other side of this is private sector, non-government sector. And it might, you know, they literally mirror one another. Okay. So when the government spends money into the economy, that means that there's more money in the economy for you and I and for businesses to make decisions with. But when there's less money, when they don't have the resources to put out, this is what generates layoffs. And this is what generates, quite frankly, it is what generates all the despair. And you could see this in the Bill Clinton economy when he had the surplus. He took too much money out of the economy. And when he took up too much money out of the economy, he created the recession that George W. Bush inherited.